Shane, Al, you
want some glasses?
Now come close to me. Say you out loud. He's showing off that he doesn't need glasses. Because he's so much younger than us.
Big print, yeah. You know, it's becoming a rather disturbing habit that family members ask me to speak at these occasions. But I guess it's sort of, this is one I couldn't really wriggle out. When I was asked to say a few words this evening,
3 pages.
big friends, right?
With more.
I did the first thing that anyone who despises public speaking does. I thought of who could I ask to take my place. Now I thought of Keith, but he was going to talk anyway, so that wasn't really an out.
And we only had tonight.
Hope you're not hungry.
And you know, it's quite intimidating because you know a lot of these people have known Wendy a lot longer than I have.
You're right.
You know, some of her best and oldest friends are here, and I hasten to add, when I use the term oldest, I mean people who've known her. And I thought, you know, who could I ask among her friends? And then, if I asked one, would one of the others feel sort of a bit slighted? Now, this is the kind of thin ice that people who've been married for a while learn to sort of steer clear of. So I thought it would have to be me after all. Okay. So the next thing I did for inspiration is I turned to that friend of journalists of long standing called the internet.
What's that?
Good question. If you remember, that didn't exist when Wendy and I actually started out in journalism.
Amazing.
The World Wide Web did not exist for some of the younger people. It started in concept. Kettlebells. In fact, the younger among you will be amused to know that we still use those museum pieces called typewriters when we started out. So turning to Google, yes, dictionaries. I'm not too sure about that. Spell check is our friend. Now, when I turned to Google, my saviour many times in the past, it failed me dismally. I looked up 50th birthday jokes, and I'll give you some examples of what I got. 5 signs you know you're 50. When your face has, this is one, when your face has more wrinkles than an elephant's backside. Number 2, you
How can
purchase...
you tell he's younger than me?
You purchased your moisturizer by the case instead of by the jar. Number 3, hair dye goes on your shopping list under essentials instead of luxuries. That come hither look you used to have in your eyes just doesn't look as enticing through your bifocals. And finally, your once fabulous behind now looks more like a set of mud flaps. Now,
Careful, boy, careful.
twerk. Now, any husband in the room knows I'd have to have been absolutely insane, verging on suicidal, to try and use any of those lines tonight. And in any case, they're obviously completely untrue about Wendy. Look at it. Just as mud flaps. Except for maybe the one about the bifocal, that might not totally be.
Multifocal.
So in the end, I decided it would probably be best I just keep it simple and share a few things about Wendy that I really love.
Just derailing the speech.
These are the interactive.
Zoom in on first.
Okay, let's start. I haven't counted them, but there are only a few of these. Okay, I'm on page 2 of 3. You're sure to know. Firstly, Wendy is the hardest working person I know. And looking around this room, there are some. I'm not among them, but there are some. between 3 print deadlines, a radio slot, and these are 3 regular print deadlines weekly, never mind other assignments, a radio slot each week, and regular speech to companies, consumer bodies, and educational institutions. I'm astonished she finds any free time. Now, for those of you who aren't journalists, who think that we're a bunch of slackers, you just sit down 3 times a week and rattle something off. There's actually quite a lot of work that goes into putting together these things. Okay.
A woman bought a pair of elaborate.
What?
A woman bought a pair of intricately A woman bought a pair. And drove to the complex, Clover Bay. To the complex. The product will be cheaper if bought in a bigger size pack than in the more convenient smaller size. Listener Anal Singh certainly thought so. Oh, yes. Anal Singh certainly thought so. So I went to the Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chief Executive. 5.5 minutes and counting. It's got to be. Oh no! Suknan done. Do I have to go back to that Suknandon? Josh Suknandon said he pays his consolidated. Josh Suknandon says he pays his Already. Okay. 33-year-old Philip, who works as a petrol attendant at the BP garage in Kloof, and Shirley Grubler, who'd contacted us on behalf of her company, where one of their units installed by Capital Hair.
As you can hear by that, for every 10-minute radio slot, there's about 3 hours. And you can imagine,
It's live now, eh?
with the print columns, all the boring research and a lot of quite unpleasant and combative toing and froing with some quite nasty people at times. Okay, so that was the first thing, a hard worker. The other thing I really, and I think a lot of you will know about Wendy and Mark, is she's got a really loud sneeze. If you've ever been caught by surprise, don't worry, we haven't got her that on. We did break a few years ago. If you've ever been caught by surprise by one of her sneezes, you'll know I'm talking big boy firecracker, window rattling, cricket bat on door leaf. Okay, the third thing, a highly developed sense of justice. And obviously the flip side, a hatred for any form of injustice. Now Keith might touch on this in his talk, but from what I've heard, ever since Wendy was a little girl, she's always been outraged at being punished or criticized for something she didn't do. I think that feeds into that whole injustice thing, and it's something that obviously informs her work on a daily basis. Something that keeps her up at night, tackling an inbox, I can tell you, because I've at times had to help recover hard drive things, which I'll touch on in a moment, that run into tens of thousands of emails that she just can't get to, but she'll sit up to sometimes 1 in the morning trying to get through them, but she wants to help these people. Which brings me to the point that I think it's safe to say that Wendy and technology are not the best of friends. In fact, if I didn't know better, I think she's got some kind of invisible force field that causes crucial emails to disappear, Wi-Fi connection to shut down, and in extreme cases, hard drives to implode.
Recently.
Those of you who have been around when this happened will know that Wendy's not shy to voice her displeasure, and sometimes doesn't take kindly to suggested remedies. Having said that, she's got quite a lot better lately, even going so far recently to turn her iPhone into a Wi-Fi hotspot. Finally, I think, and this is most importantly for us, I think, family, despite that killer schedule, she always makes time for her family and loved ones. I've heard her, and this is done on several occasions on the phone whilst you've been sitting there, tell CEOs of major listed companies that you can't meet them at the times they suggest, or she's got to be at a prize giving or gymnastics competition for Amy or John. Amy doing the gymnastics. And usually the share of the prize giving. Sure. Wendy, you're the glue that holds our family together, and we love you for it.